So what's your questions? Tell me. Yeah, I'm getting nervous now. إلهي.
استني بس how to كده okay I'm good okay
My name is a little bit like hard to pronounce, especially in English. So my name is Jazzy.
Hello, this is Dani Jaber and I am one of the students in the postgrad diploma program.
So the course was initiated by the Ministry of Culture's Museum Commission in collaboration with Afat University in Jeddah and SOAS here in London. So it's a three-party kind of agreement. And I think that's a very interesting exchange to have educational institutions in both locations and supported by the Museums Commissions, like a lot of amazing networks and perspectives. So yeah.
Alhamdulillah, I am one of these lucky people who got an accepted in this beautiful program.
Okay, well, welcome to London to SOAS University. It's really nice to see you all here. As we are going to see in our lecture, in our guest lectures, and also in the museum visits, you will get a little bit of theoretical knowledge, but also practical tools of how to engage with the audiences. And to do this, we are going to visit art museums, we are going to visit science museums, okay?
Perfect.
So it's actually my first time visiting London and I think the universe works in a mysterious way because in my vision board for last year I've included a picture of Big Ben. It was in the background of my desktop for a whole year.
It was exciting to see all of them here in London because we have been meeting for the past month in Jeddah. And to see them here enjoying the first day, it's really exciting. And I think they're going to enjoy this program here in London.
Our collaboration with the Museums Commission began many years ago. It led to the launch of the postgraduate diploma in museum studies. The first part of the program is taught at Afat University in Jeddah. In July, the students come to London for an intensive 4 weeks of teaching and museum visits.
And what I think makes the Middle East department in the British Museum particularly interesting.
And then in the autumn, they work on their independent study projects supported by online workshops.
So being here and grouping with Dania, Maria, and all of the team, I really enjoyed it. I think it brought a lot of aspect in me that I haven't expected. And I see the progress throughout the month that I developed through the time I spent with them.
It's great that it's very accommodating in terms of setting because like I work full time, but at the same time I'm able to partake in the course, which I think is a wonderful opportunity.
It was also good to take this program for the theoretical part and also coming here seeing how museums are operating for over a century and so on.
I really enjoy being here in London because a lot of resources for someone who like to do research. So for me, it's an opportunity.
And we have visited like top-notch museums. We visited the British Museum. The Science Museum was in particular a very, very interesting visit.
I didn't realize how much teamwork is involved, and especially with the digitization of everything and how you organize things and which story do you want to tell about this object.
So the highlight of the course is thinking about the ways in which museums were established in the UK, and the colonial history of museums are obviously very contested. So as a museum professional returning to Saudi and being part of kind of the generation that builds the foundation of museums in Saudi, a lot of what's in my mind is how can we have an alternative approach and more imaginative approach to managing cultural assets and heritage in a more collective way, in a more community-based way.
Who is this gallery for? You can see that it is a painting where you've got these colored panels. On top of that panel is painted this huge big jar, and you will see such a jar in the gallery.
I really love the moon jars. I did a little illustration on it.
What's interesting about it is that the imperfections when creating that jar were accepted, which is something that is very important in creating artists, to always make sure that every art being created is considered a piece of art and it's unique on its own.
When this gallery was refurbished, the then curator was just very keen to move beyond that, thinking, look, we've had that aesthetic globally for about 15, maybe even 20 years. Let's try and do something different. A museum like this would regularly want to update its galleries, because otherwise they can look a bit dated. The big challenges with the museums, such as the V&A Museum and the British Museum, is you have to work with the existing space.
As a curator, I learned to be flexible in such spaces, especially that the cases are movable, some like flights are movable, having new acquisitions.
So I got to be exposed into like different, let's say even like microculture, what did they call it? Like
Everyone is from different backgrounds, different cities, different upbringings, different perspectives. And it's like really fun to listen to all of them talk.
Where exactly did you think that this part made me feel not included, and when did you feel, no, I feel included, I feel like I'm part of this conversation?
In my opinion, there is no difference between men and women, so why they face the challenges before. So this is kind of remind us who we are. This is kind of remind us what kind of mistakes we have done. History is something that teaches us even in the future.
And they tell you what exactly they're going to be portraying. They're going to be portraying the transformation in women artists, breaking the preconceived notion that women were meant to take care of their homes and children rather than becoming career women.
I think the strategy here, the interpretative strategy here, is to prove that there is not only one key piece in the exhibition, but there are several. Because if they're telling from the very beginning 400 years of women history, of women painters history and artists, they want to show you that there are key pieces through these 400 years.
We love it, alhamdulillah, we done it. Thank you.
You happy with your presentation?
Yes, very happy.
Really well done, hello everyone.
So beginnings of Barjeel. By the way, I have a curator who does a much better job than me. She does all the work and I take all the credit. And the way I take art, my mission in life is to promote art from the Arab world. Doctor, what do you think of the Sultani saying to put the women are equal to men? Spain and France. For that biggest collector, his answer was, This is bullshit. Everybody knows that then we're better art. This is just July 2023. Bullshit. Then men are better artists. Are you gonna film the whole talk?
No.
Oh.
Space in terms of how we interact with rooms, floors. I want to get us to think about the kind of conceptual reasons for why we display art in the way that we do.
So this exhibition is from the private collection of Sultan Al-Qasimi. It's under the Barjeel Art Foundation collection. So us 8 students, we got this document of contemporary art, and we were basically able to choose and pick different artworks that fit basically our theme of boundaries.
أكثر الفنانين المظلومين. مصر خيالي جدا، عنده ستايل في الرسم. ما أدري إذا شفت لوحته، هو دائما يرسم الناس بس متحركين.
So this sculpture is actually by a Saudi artist, Manal Bawayan.
Ilahi, after seeing the video, the movie, I needed some one-to-one time with Muhammad for comic relief. Thinking about all of the borders that we have across the world and across the Arab world specifically. Like the wall in Gaza, the wall for us to enter Palestine, the need for visas and passports and approvals, when sometimes it's just same people. So it was a bit emotional, even though it was just cows there. But yeah.
History or art. Actually, we're also covering geography and science.
So we are already familiar with our objects because we have been using them this whole time. So that now I want to provide a different perspective of how we can interrogate these objects. You're the innocent here. Okay, open up. Let's see the numbers that you got.
Actually, being within a group was challenging to me because most of the time I work with 2 people or 3 people and I get the grasp quickly. But at the same time, with working with the group, I had to understand each individual and their characters and like build on that and kind of communicate. So that was a challenge, but a good one.
في البداية أنا كنت أعتقد أن قبولي في برنامج يتكلم عن المتاحف، مع أن مجال عملي يتكلم في مجال المتاحف في مركز مكتب البرنامج الثقافي، لكن الحمد لله من ناحية الليكتشرز، من ناحية many different professors، الخبرة في مجالهم خلونا نتعلم ونشوف المتاحف في طريقة جدا مختلفة. يعني ما أقدر أعبر عن يعني امتناني وشكري لكل العاملين على هذا البرنامج بصراحة. يعني فرصة كبيرة، وكل إحنا جدا أشخاص محظوظين والفضل الله لدخولنا هذا البرنامج.
The challenge was leaving my kids for 1 month.
You missed that now?
Yeah. Especially the youngest. She's 2. And since I'm on camera, I miss all 3 of them equally, exact amount.
Guys, it teach me a lot of eating healthy, doing exercise every morning. I do push-up, push-up, to build 6-pack.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You're on the way. What is on your desktop now?
On my desktop now, it's just a landscape picture. I want to go to a retreat.
So Switzerland.
Exactly.
So you see the brushstroke, so this is painted, and that is why if you, any of you sort of study modern, it's when you enter the Caravaggio, first of all, there's someone opening the door. It's a privilege to enter. So you immediately, bring down your voice, you have to whisper. Whereas with Lala, you're just walking in, it was loud, we could barely hear each other. It was a lot more informal setting.
So I think if the swapping happened, I think the same idea would still land to the audience, that you have to sit with the artworks. This is an important work. It needs this very isolated environment. But obviously, maybe in the Caravaggio, the name as well, the brand added to that appeal.
Yes.
But I think I love the strategy of the curation.
I appreciated the history, but somehow I was unable to relate. Because by placing it in a dark room, it kind of gave a sense that it's only for the elite, and not anyone understands it.
Yes.
So it kind of put a barrier between the exhibit and the audience.
At the end of this course, they will choose or select 10 people to complete their master degree in museum studies, and we call it المبشرون بالجنة because they are 10. المبشرون بالجنة they are 10.
So we are still working on the tennis use because we're still running the program. But the idea is not only to base our selection in their marks, it's also in what they want to do, in their aspirations, how getting a master's degree will be useful for them in the future.
So in this slide also.
What are you doing?
Just prepared them for the presentation that we will present in a few minutes.
Are you nervous?
No, not a lot. I used to it.
Are you guys ready?
A good video of me presenting.
Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
So this is ayah, first is from Quran, saying that Allah will treat you as you work hard. So this is the main idea of this ayah. So we're working hard, Allah is gonna treat us.
Good luck, guys.
Hello.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Good. Good luck.
Good luck, Minister.
Thank you.
Good luck, Joma.
Thank you.
حقك.
What's going to happen at the end of this course?
I'm looking forward to do the master for sure.
Do you think you're going to be one of those 10 students?
There's no option to not be one of the 10. This is gonna happen, you know? Because I want to get the master's degree. It's crucial for me at this point. I'm 5 years into curation now. I am in like the right time and the right. I have the expertise and the skills to be an assistant curator, but I'm not taking it just because I don't have a master's degree. Therefore, I must have one.
I mean, if the opportunity comes to do another master's, I'll be really happy, but otherwise I would be really happy for my colleagues as well. Yeah.
I'm hoping and I'm ready to take that step of, doing my master's.
One of the 10. I mean, okay, my gut would say. My gut is going to different directions each time.
Inshallah, yeah. But honestly, no.
So thank you so much for your time. And please, group one, go ahead.
In this exhibition, we're exploring a bit of a philosophy of unoriginality.
And as you can see, we are the only female-only group. So give you a hint of our selected title, which is Review Reflections on Womanhood.
Advertising this exhibit and promoting it, and it's also a platform that encourages free thinking and creativity all in one.
You're not far off being able to be commissioned with that. It's a very fully formed idea. And I love the way, it's a very detailed consideration, beautifully designed and confidently presented.
This is also a favorite of mine. So, okay. This is the sound of cardamom. It's the sound of the pestle as it's breaking the ingredients for creating the traditional Arabic coffee, which is actually a very common sound in extended family homes.
So this is a famous song by Itab. I'm gonna play a bit, yes, of this song.
Kind of what would be the one thing that you would hope visitors would take away from this exhibition, because you have a few different kind of elements that you're looking at, so it would be nice to know what your kind of key objective, I guess, for visitors would be.
In this cufflinks, for example, it says Sa'ada and Mawadda, happiness and affection. On the top one, it's from a famous song for Abdul Halim Hafiz. Their earrings, also very beautifully interlaced. And I'm sure you've all seen it on our beautiful colleague Malia, who's wearing it. And
as you saw in Hudud, when we got that poster and the other giveaways, these can somewhat be considered publications. So I was partially inspired by them.
So we would start the exhibition from the entrance with Al-Fatiha, which is the mother of the Quran, according to its significance for the Muslim culture specifically, and how we use the first verse of this surah. It's Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most merciful, the most graceful. This is a word we use in our prayers every time, or whenever we start something, we say Bismillah. So it is a starter for our exhibition as well.
How you manage to integrate the diversity in your group, because you are quite diverse and I think the largest group in this, and how you successfully manage, again, thinking outside the box, proposing an original idea, how you manage to have a conversation between tradition and contemporary art, focus on one theme, And I think that's brilliant. I mean, that's really well done for you.